Hello and welcome back to Eileen the Mastiff. We've got a video today about socialization and what we've been up to with Eileen. So if you're new here, I'm Rachel, this is Will. We are the owners of Eileen.
Eileen the Mastiff.
Of Eileen the Mastiff, hence why we're here. If you're not already, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Eileen the Mastiff and make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well to see what we've been up to. So, socialization, William.
Socialization.
I was thinking you could perhaps explain why we've been doing socialization, like why it's important, and also why this particular socialization, which I'm sure we will have clickbaited in the title. So,
standard, probably something along the lines of world's biggest puppy meets
world's biggest puppy meets a sheep.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Is that the title? I kind of hope it's not, but it probably is.
So, socialization, for the people that have been following my Perfect Puppy Course will be very aware of this. It's one of my 3 pillars of success to having the perfect canine companion: manners, obedience, socialization. Early socialization is incredibly critical, and all puppies go through psychological kind of stages and windows. We could talk about that for hours. I'm not going to delve into the depths of that, but the key takeaway is that early positive socialization is absolutely key with a puppy. One of the main reasons for this is, again, one of the things I preach is about having a puppy that will look up to you for guidance and direction in how to respond and react. A really good way to help set them up for success is if they're well socialized to as many different people, animals, environments, and different kind of stimuli as possible, which will allow them to stay calm under all circumstances and then find it more easy to look up to you for guidance and direction, which is then at that point you can utilize your manners and obedience to keep them under control, safe for yourself, other people, other animals, and for them just to be that perfect canine companion you've always dreamed about. So socialization is incredibly important and something that you have to start early.
Can I jump in?
Of course.
So specifically, you're referring to the weeks between 8 and 12 weeks, aren't you?
Yes, that's probably the most critical part of early socialization.
And that is a question that we get quite a lot about, because a lot of puppies in the UK, anyway, I don't know what it's like worldwide, haven't had all their vaccinations until 12 weeks. So that is a thing that comes up a lot. So we specifically talk about the weeks 8 to 12 because that is the psychological development period where socialization is key. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's why we specifically mention that, even though they've not had their full vaccinations. Now, there's certain things that you can do before they've had the vaccinations that are great for socialization. That's like something that you really preach about. And I think the American Kennel Club as well, they recommend socialising before
you can read my mind sometimes. I was literally sat there going, as soon as she's finished with this bit, I'll talk about how the American Kennel Club has just released a statement.
The American Kennel Club released a statement around the importance of socialising your dog between those ages is more important than the concern around them not having had their vaccinations. Yeah. Now, obviously, there are concerns about them not.
Again.
I'm going to get in trouble this week for interrupting you. There are obviously concerns around not having had the full vaccinations, but it's up to you really to weigh that risk. So you've seen videos where we've been socialising Eileen with other dogs. All of our dogs are vaccinated. All of our staff members whose dogs that she's met are vaccinated. Obviously, we're quite lucky with where we live and the space that we've got available to us that this part of socialisation is coming on quite well. Eileen is now 10 weeks, so we're expanding the socialisation a little bit, aren't we? Beyond the immediate sort of household and the few other dogs that she's met. So that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, I'll jump in and quickly. So obviously, with the local lockdown and with us living very rural. Socialisation is very key, especially in livestock, which Rachel will explain in a minute. But there is a downside with the lockdown and that Eileen isn't doing as much. We're not able. Shops are shut down. So if it was no lockdown, we'd have had Eileen out every day to coffee shops, we'd have carried around different shops, we'd have gone to pet shops, we'd have gone to different vets, but those options just not available.
Or just walking around town centre and stuff like that, but at the moment there's not really a lot of point because there's no one there, so...
But yeah, we've talked about that at length, so I'll let you tell the story of kind of what you did today, and then if you need to ask me any questions, I'm here.
Yeah, I did actually think that we could do a full video on socializing your puppy during lockdown. In the next week or two,
let
maybe.
us know if you want to see that.
If you want to see that, that might be interesting. We have had quite a few questions, and we can talk more generally then. But today we took her to meet some sheep for the first time. So where we live, we have quite a long driveway, and one of the fields next to the driveway has some very, very friendly sheep in.
They are very friendly.
They are super friendly.
I say hello to them multiple times a day when I go for my walks.
Yeah. And the dogs, obviously, when we take them for walks, have to walk past the sheep. So obviously Eileen hasn't been for a walk yet, but if she was to go for a walk in the future, she would have to walk past them on the way there and on the way back, and they are always there. Sheep are also in the fields that all around us as well.
And the Peak District for us is like we can literally see it out the window, which is where I do a lot of walking. It's whether Eileen will do much of it just with the breeches, but Sully will go on the peaks all the time. So he's extensively socialised and obedient under sheep in particular, because they're like free on the peaks. So it's a serious thing where we live.
So
and farmers get very shooty if your dogs aren't under control around sheep.
That's very true. So basically what we did today was we took her for a walk up the drive, which was new to her in itself because she hasn't been, she's been in our paddock once, but we carried her in there. Other than that, she's only been in the garden and the house, obviously. So we took her for a walk up the drive. That was interesting in itself, encouraging her to go that far. She just kept wanting to turn around. She was like, my bed is in there. So we got her, we did eventually get her up the drive, carried her a little bit of the way, and then introduced her to the sheep. And she was actually really interested in them. So I wasn't sure how she would react at first, but she was right up at the fence, like having a staring contest with these sheep, basically. And that's really the main part of it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll
it's
kind
hard
of jump
to talk
in.
about.
Obviously, where possible, you want to create a positive association around these things. Did you take any of the other dogs with you?
No, just Eileen.
So obviously, if Eileen had a bad reaction to that, you'd completely ignore that reaction. You'd realise, okay, cool, we've got a thing here that we need to work on. So you take a step back. Then you could utilise, like I'd say, take Sully or Puppy up, who's really good around sheep now. And then Eileen would kind of imitate that behaviour. Oh, okay, cool. If Sully's cool, I'm cool. I don't need to be fearful here. You can start doing some of your obedience routines with them kind of off in the periphery. So they're there, but they're focusing on you, building that engagement.
I'm not sure we're quite there yet.
Yeah, but these are kind of the steps you can take. So essentially, it's not rocket science, really. You're showing them a new stimuli, whether it's sight, smell, sounds. Often it's all things. It can be feeling under the paws, which is why adventuring with your dog is so important. And then just trying to make it a positive experience. And whether that's simply just them watching and observing, and maybe if they're displaying the correct behaviour, this is the important part. If they're displaying the correct behaviour, which is calm, well-mannered, under control, you can praise them, you can ruffle them behind the ear, you can give them some food reward if you want, create a positive association. If they start to freak out, bark, behave inappropriately, try and run away, we ignore that behaviour, and like I say, you just make a note of it. Right, cool, we need to work on this. How do we step back and build back up to that slowly, utilising those tactics of making it a positive, fun experience? And you just do that consistently every single day, really trying to capitalise on that window. And the more you do it, you'll find that the things afterwards become easier and easier, because you start to go, well, this is a new thing, but I've experienced loads of new things now, and they were all cool, so I'll just suppose I'll be cool with this as well.
Yeah.
You pick up momentum with socialisation, and you can start to capitalise on momentum.
I guess as well, like, this is the first other animal that she's seen, and she did react really well to it. I think she was a little bit nervous at first, and I did have to kind of like hold myself back from going to comfort her. I know that's can be quite difficult, but like you say, I didn't want to give her any kind of like fuss for a...
Well, then you would be positively reinforcing the undesirable behaviour, which then means that behaviour is going to be seen more frequently. It's basic operant conditioning.
I think as well, we have generally learned that Eileen is quite sensitive, not in a bad way. It's like you say, it's a Mastiff thing, so we just need to approach things slowly. So now she's done that once. I'm not going to like bombard her with it, but we'll, in a couple of days' time, we'll go for a wander up again. Perhaps this time, like, not even stop, like, just walk past the sheep a few times. Because I need to work with her on the lead anyway.
Yeah.
And then once we've got her obedience routine down even further, we'll have a go at doing that.
So that's where I craft my Perfect Puppy Course to marry the obedience, manners and socialisation together, and I structure it week by week. So you're going into the weeks now where your basic fundamentals of obedience, you've been doing no distraction inside the house. The idea is that you start to then build out those distraction levels slowly but surely. So that's where you can be savvy and knock out two birds with one stone with, okay, well, I need to do some socialisation with sheep at a bit of a distance, but I need to be doing my obedience with a little bit of distraction. Two things together, socialising with sheep and working on your obedience, both complementing each other, all while working on good manners, because if the socialisation is going well, they'll be displaying good manners, and it all creates that beautiful cycle that leads to a perfect canine companion.
And there you go. This video that we said was going to be under 5 minutes is probably now 15, so...
I apologise, the king of waffle strikes yet again.
Here we are. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at Eileen the Mastiff. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you comment.
All the YouTube things.
Let us know if you want that socialising in lockdown video. I don't know how long it'll be relevant for now, but...
We can help. We're here to help.
Yeah.
Peace.